Welcome, everybody, to the Build Community Through Love podcast. I'm the host, Dr. Joe Daniels. We're here for episode number 9 with my good friend, Rodney Cazito. Rodney is getting his PhD at the University of Tennessee, his PhD in industrial engineering, y'all, industrial engineering. Rodney is just a cool guy. I've known him since high school. I know last episode I went back to some of my old former teammates in high school, but my man Rodney has been cool with me since the IB program at Springbrook High School as well. Rodney has gone off to go and get his industrial engineering degree, bachelor's degree from Pittsburgh University, the University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then he went off and he came and joined me at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where he got his master's in industrial engineering. And Rodney has done a cool thing with his education. He has taken a liking in what he has worked on in the energy sector as it deals with modeling and optimization of energy, especially renewable energy. And so he's out right now at the University of Tennessee pursuing his PhD, like I said, in industrial engineering. And the cool thing right now that he's doing is he's utilizing the work that he's doing to create some intellectual property that he can use and going in and start a startup. And so he's not just going out and pursuing a degree to get a degree and have a piece of paper at the end, but he is pursuing pretty much the foundations and the fundamentals and the core intellectual property, the unique what am I trying to say? The minimal value proposition of what he's going to use as the beginnings of a startup. And so, you know, he has a very great story and a great model on how you should approach pursuing higher education at the graduate school level, whether that's pursuing a master's or whether that's pursuing a PhD. So this is a great episode. Get in. This guy is doing great work in the community. He is a community change agent. He's pushing out things for STEM. He's advocating for those who are in the minority groups, and I don't really like using minority, so I'm gonna say the underrepresented population of those who don't technically have a lot of access to STEM in the K through 12 level. So let's just stop fooling around. Let's get to the show, and I hope you enjoy. Let's take it away. Rodney Cazito, soon to be Dr. Rodney Cazito. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I can't complain, man. I can't complain. It's a pleasure to see you, man. Pleasure to be here with you. I appreciate you having me on here, man. I love what you got going with this, brother. I love
Always.
What you got going with this, man.
Always. Real quick, man. We're going through a double pandemic in this country.
Yeah.
COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even really know how to even put one word on the other one, right? I mean, you can call it systemic racism.
Yeah.
You can call it oppression, bigotry. You could call it just about anything negative.
Yeah.
You could put where, I mean, they said that Webster is changing the name of slavery. Like they're changing the definition of slavery.
What? To
in
what?
the dictionary. Or no, I'm sorry. They're changing the word racism and what racism means in the dictionary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's heavy.
Crazy. That's
because
crazy.
I think they're saying now it's not just, you know, you don't like a person because of their color.
Yeah.
It's saying like the system also has been established, you know what I'm saying, to make sure people of color don't have versus those who, you know, have always had and have always tried to keep out.
Yep. The system creator's gonna have one thing and make sure we don't
exactly. So just we'll introduce our conversation with just your feelings and thoughts on this double pandemic.
Yeah, man, it's been hard, bro. It's definitely been hard, man. And it's I cherish the moments where I get to speak to a Black brother. You know what I'm saying? I cherish the moments where living in these predominantly white areas like Knoxville, you being over there in the Northwest Arkansas area, going to the PWIs that we've gone to. You know, it's been so more and more refreshing these days, man, when I get on the phone, whether it's FaceTime, whether it's the interview now, to see the person on the other side, somebody that I can connect with. You know what I'm saying? It's been difficult for me in the fact of just me thinking, how do I now go back to living life, right? When, let's say, the COVID-19 pandemic ends. right? The pandemic of racism, police brutality, violence, hatred, evil against the Black communities. Has, you know what I'm saying, that's not ending. You see what I'm saying? So how do I now go back into that world, knowing and seeing what I've seen from white people, all the statements that have come up and everything like that, the schools that have tried to reach out, departments that have tried to reach out, whatever the case is, how do I go back into that and control and not let hatred build up inside me even more, to where my reactions and how I go about living in this white people world, right? Where I start doing things and acting out in ways that start changing the progression I have been able to make right now. So I've been praying for that heavily, man, because it weighs heavily down on me a lot. But I just think it's rooted back to where the heart is, man. It's when you were talking about the definition that they're changing to it, right? It's one word that comes to me for that. It's just evil. You see what I'm saying? Like, because all those things fall into that same thing. It's evil, where that hatred then comes from for somebody else because they don't look like you. You know, that hatred then comes from because you're scared of what somebody else can do and take from you that you always had your whole life growing up, whatever the case may be. It just comes back to evil, man. And I really think it's one of those where it's a battle that has to be fought on all fronts, right? But I think it's really one of those where God and God moving the way that he moves is going to have to be a wave that more and more people start opening their eyes to and seeing, because changing racism means changing the heart, and nobody has the power to do that but the Lord and Savior himself. You see? And so when it comes down to that, I guess my biggest prayer for it has been, and even the only post I did was on my LinkedIn. It took me a little bit to figure out how to put those words on there. We had a little chat earlier about, some people sometimes are too militant, you know what I'm saying? And that's the issue I've had previously as I was growing up in my life, right? So being where I am now as a 28-year-old, I figured what's the best way to put this into words. And one of the posts I had on there was just speaking about how my biggest prayer out of all of this is that, white America does grow up to realizing that it's okay to accept the fact that your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, all your ancestors in your white family lineage have done wrong by you, by allowing you to grow up with this kind of ideologies. Because racism is learned from somewhere. You see what I'm saying? A child doesn't come out of their mother's womb racist. A child doesn't come out of their mother's womb with hatred in their heart for somebody. You see what I'm saying? Those are taught and learned as that child grows up. So, but for that to ever change and those conversations to ever be had within the white families, I'm not on social media, but bro, I've been getting all the IG messages and all the Twitters of the little white girls and the little white boys in their families having the combos with their parents and hearing how their parents' mentality is just completely off. Right, hearing the evil in their parents. I've seen the girl who was crying, talking to her mom and dad, and they're yelling at her, "Well, Black people are just like that. That's just their fault." Blah blah. She's like, "No, mom, you don't understand the communities that they live in, the way this country has treated them. This thing goes back to yours. Their families for generations have suffered from this." Well, no, blah blah blah. If we can make that happen, why can't they? It's an equal opportunity kind of country. Like, seeing those kind of videos has truly warmed my heart, and I know God is moving. I know it's moving.
Yeah, people are awakening, man. I mean, people have been awakening like crazy. And I mean, even like folks are at least, they're like, all right, I want to listen. I want to experience. I want to listen more. It's just like, all right, and so it's in a space where, people were just completely against anything. I mean, I remember sitting in Panera Bread one time, working on my dissertation, and it was like a group of older white people at a table. It's probably like 6 or 7 of them, and same people who go to probably all the Razorback football games and cheer for them same football players who some end up going to the league.
Yeah.
But you condemn Captain, Lord Jesus,
Kaepernick.
you condemn Kaepernick for they were having like ugly comments about it. I'm like, come on, y'all. But I guess for me, the thing, because the two of us have prided ourselves, we're alumni of Springbrook High School, Silver Spring, Maryland, home of the Blue Devils. We did that. The Brook.
Shout out
Um,
to Brooke.
the Brook, and so we've always prided ourselves on just on our academics and the success that we've had. You know what I'm saying, through the IB program, going through engineering, getting internships, co-ops, and then pursuing the mecca of all academics in the PhD.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so talk to me about how you feel, even being highly educated, because even highly educated folks going out bird watching are under attack. So tell me how you're actually handling that.
Yeah, man. I guess it's the realization, whether you're highly educated, whether you're extremely rich, you're still black. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And that hitting you and that realization. So the beauty in it is, Pitt gave me a very good example of what the world was gonna look like. And just kind of starting to see, because coming from I'm from Africa, right? So all I knew was black. I hadn't seen anybody that wasn't black, but the two white missionary guys who used to work at the church down the street from me, and I would watch them walk across, right? So then moving to the DMV, I was still around such a black area, right? So my experience with what America looks like in general, which is white, right? I didn't really start to form that too heavily until I really got to college. The DMV in itself kind of sheltered me from a lot of that. There was a big Ugandan population there. There's of course a big African American population. All my friends growing up. You see what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
by the time I got to Pitt and I got to see that kind of did prepare me. I do thank God that I adjust pretty well when it comes to those situations. So getting into the grad school side and the academia side, it's the realization that us being so highly educated, they love to use us as their showcase piece.
Exactly.
And that's something I know you've gone through
Yeah.
a lot of the time of your life.
I'm gonna say this. I know it's gonna people gonna be like, really, dude? I'm my department's Barack Obama.
Absolutely, it's the exact same here.
Joe did it.
Exactly. Yep. It's the exact same way here, man. And seeing that, you brought up something great. You guys are going to sit there and root like crazy when the Razorbacks are playing, when the Volunteers are playing, right? Those same black boys are the same black boys out here getting shot, right?
Exactly.
The same black boys are the same black boys out here being treated like crazy by the same country you call home, right? The same country you uphold as the greatest nation in the world. So where's that same support and chanting for them in those situations as it is when you're there watching them on the football field? I view it the same way. If you're going to use Dr. Daniels third and you're going to use Rodney Casito, you know what I'm saying, all over your brochures and your
websites,
you're going to write all these articles about us. You're going to do all this stuff about us, right? Where is that same love and support towards them when you see something is happening to people?
Yeah, because you're going to get both sides of us.
Exactly.
The ones who want to excel, want to win awards, like you. We want to be the most outstanding graduate student of the graduate school. You know what I'm saying? We want to win those awards because what's less?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to win in every single category that we put ourselves in.
Yeah.
But we also going to challenge a system that has also, caused us and our lineage really a whole lot of issues.
I want to get your viewpoint a little quickly. You just brought up a great point, man.
Go ahead.
And it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, man. What you said earlier, well, we've seen Joe do it, right? We've seen Rodney do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's a battle I've still been trying to. I think I'm a lot better at it now, as of recent. But that's when I'm still trying to grow in that. I think you found a way to really figure out during your time at Arkansas, right? At what point and how do you go about challenging that now, right? It's one thing for me to say, hey, I want to go to the NSBE conference, right? Pay for me to go to the NSBE conference because I'm bringing you black students. Of course, they're going to say yes to that. They want to increase their black student graduate school numbers, right? So then at what point do I move towards the things where it's more, forget this being something that also benefits you? Because me bringing another Rodney, me bringing another Joey means that's more numbers. It's going to make your department look good. It's going to make your engineering program look good. how do I then move to the demands that are not going to be beneficial to you guys as a PWI institution, right, or university, but are going to be more strictly beneficial to me and people that look like myself. You see what I'm saying? And I think my biggest issue with that has been the constant moving around, not getting enough time in one place to build enough of those connections.
For sure.
Right, while you're there to be able to really challenge that. But, I got a few months left here, man. I'm trying to break down some walls, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
I can dig it.
Yeah.
I can dig it. Well, look, this is how I want to steer the conversation, because I now want to get to a point where we can actually bless folks and not just be too emotional with each other.
Yeah.
Not saying that our emotions aren't relevant, but I want to make sure that we can get to a point where we can still provide some great quality for those who are listening. So, you are using graduate school in a way where it's beneficial for you.
Yeah.
I want you to talk to the student who is, thinking about going to grad school, but don't really know, what the end result looks like with a master's or doctorate degree.
Word.
How should, especially, people of color, students of color, how should they approach graduate school moving forward?
Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll break that down with the master's one first, especially people of color, right? Funding and stuff like that is not easy to come about, right? Especially at the master's level, unless you're doing some kind of research-based master's, and even in that, it's difficult to get that. So if the goal that you feel at that point is just the master's, you're not planning on PhD or anything like that at all. There's the route to go to college. To go to the workforce, right, and let your company help you pay that off. If it's not a master's that you're rushing to get, and you have no issue going to work for a company a year or 2 years. I think a lot of these companies in industry, after like a year or 2 years, those that do have that college help program, at that point, you're then eligible to have them, pay back whatever it is you paid at the beginning of the semester when you are going for your master's. So that's one route if you're trying to go that way, because I don't think anybody needs to go to grad school, right, if it's not going to be paid for, right, especially people that look like us. There's so much money out there for us. You just got to find a way to work that system. So that's one route I would suggest. And then the second route, on the master's side, what made my master's funded at Arkansas was finding someone else that can come in partnership with the department you're trying to go into. So maybe the department is not going to give you funding as a master's researcher, right? But there is somebody else on campus doing some type of research that you can aid them with. That's what I did with B. Hill. So B. Hill came through and was able to fund my first year, though the research I was doing with him, what we were doing there was all community-based. That had nothing to do with engineering or with me, with the master I was trying to get at all. But then that allowed the industrial engineering department and Dr. Paul to supplement the second year of my master's, since B. Hill covered that first year. And I only came across that by, I was sending emails. I was looking through anybody at the U of A that's doing anything remotely close to what I like to do. And he was running, what he was doing with his Department of Education grant was very similar to the program I was starting at Pittsburgh. So that was a perfect partnership in itself. So that's another way, finding a way to split that funding from the same university, but different sources within that university.
For sure.
On the PhD side, man.
Hold on right quick, because I heard you talking, and I just want to jump in here right quick before you talk about the PhD side, because this is really how I want how I want you to answer this question.
Yes, sir.
So real quick for everybody listening, Rodney Cazito got his master's degree in industrial engineering from the University of Arkansas, and then he went to, and now he's at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, pursuing his doctorate degree in industrial engineering. This is how I'm going to frame it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I left North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Brat, and I just was like, well, I'm not really ready to go into the work world yet. Let me just go and pursue a PhD.
Gotcha.
And so went out here, pursued a PhD. And then at the end of it, it's just like, okay, well, that was fun. Now it's like actually time to go figure out what you need to do. And I'm like, okay, well, do I do the work that I did in the PhD, or do I find work here? Like, if I do the PhD route, I mean, if I do the route and work wise from my PhD, I should probably stay in academics or in academia and try to become a professor. Or I'm very pigeonholed into what I can actually do.
Yeah.
And so when you looked at it in a completely different mindset.
Yeah, I see where you're
So
getting.
tell me about the mindset that you entered into your doctorate program with, and why that is so important for those who are pursuing a doctorate degree.
Gotcha. So my main thing behind it, man, it was two big things. One, I told myself the PhD has to be something that's going to be more than just about me, right? Because I know if I get to a level and I don't want to do this anymore, I can just walk away from that anytime I want to. But if I know this thing is about more than just me, it's the other people that it's about, right? That's going to push me through that 2:30 a.m. in the morning when I'm sick and tired of doing research. I just want to go home and sleep. That's what's going to make me crank out those extra 2 hours to leave at 4:30 a.m., right? And the second thing, and I think maybe the main thing, especially for people like us, man, you got to make sure, I would highly suggest to follow a research path that is something not only you're passionate about, but it's something you can, at some point when the PhD is done, make your own thing that you can make money from, right? Something you can turn into a business of some sort, something you can turn into some way for you to get, for you to get monetary gain from it, right? So those 4 or 5 years you're spending busting your butt, you know what I mean, doing this research, staying up all these late hours. I mean, it's a grueling process, as you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure ultimately when you come out of that, you produce something that's not just going to be that degree for you, and take you into work that you may want to do, whether it's professorship or if you work in an industry. Ultimately, you could turn into something, your personal entrepreneurship goal, right? That comes from the research you were pursuing. So thinking about your research path in advance when you are applying for grad school and trying to see, this is ultimately what I'm trying to get to, because I can make a business out of this. And I have this research kind of outlined now. Let me see if I can reach out to other sources, finalize what the research plan is going to be, and make that be what the PhD is going to be about. So you're betting on yourself for the degree, but also on you taking the research you spent 5 years doing that you're an expert now in, and you can make that something you're making money off of your way, and not so much giving towards another company as just another number they hired there.
And that is so important, bro, because like from kindergarten,
absolutely,
I won't say we've been bamboozled, but that's the only word I can really think of right now. So I'm just going to use bamboozle. When, if you just take it from a historical standpoint, our parents, fought hard to make sure that we could seek educational opportunities like going to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was an understanding in my household. Like, you going to college. Like, I don't care what's going on. I don't care how it's going to get paid for. You're going to college. That was a reality.
Yeah.
And so, but now it's just like, okay, we have not taken and understood higher education as a business model. And I think our community so much has not understood the business model of higher education to the point where, if you're going, especially for graduate school, these professors, they want grad students.
Absolutely.
They want grad students so that they can continue to publish.
Yep.
They can continue to have, folks working on the research that they can get grants on. And if I have a great research team, I can write multiple grants and never have to work on any of the. You see what I'm saying?
Taking care of the work for me.
You see what I'm saying?
So much money. I'm getting recognition in the university.
Come on now. And so now the professor has become the entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And a cheap labor force with grad students.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's important that we learn the business model of especially at the graduate level of higher education. And real quick, because people are able to take models a lot easier, and you are like a model king. Like, you make models, you figure out how to do models, benefit cost analysis. You got it. Like, you got it all figured out, man. That's a core piece of your research. You're published, so folks, hop on LinkedIn, look up Rodney Gazito. He's published.
I appreciate
in the
that.
big boy journals too. Like he's not even in these side piece journals, the big boy journals. But tell me the model that you're actually discussing when you say, take a research path that will potentially be able to become a business or something that you can monetize. Walk me through the model that you're actually going through right now.
Got you. So my personal research is involved in renewable energy. I do renewable energy optimization through modeling, like you were just talking about, and I specifically focus on solar energy. So a lot of what I do and the models that I've come up with, add economic analysis to what you getting a house or somebody investing in a house with a solar system on it is versus somebody investing in a house without a solar system. Then I have another model that takes it a step above that, where you can now have a choice of adding an energy storage system with your solar system or just having the solar system by itself. And it gives you the numbers for what it looks like on your house just as it is, your house with just the solar system, and your house with the solar system and the energy storage system. And then I've been able to expand that to now on the utility scale and the commercial scale as well. So once I saw all of that, it's like, okay, this is perfect. This is my research. This is what my publications are coming from. This is what my dissertation is based around. How can we now change this to something that's benefiting Rodney from an entrepreneurship perspective? So I took basically what that model is. I actually had to hit up University of Arkansas and let them know to take down the, when you finish your thesis there or your dissertation there, they publish it through the school. I had to tell them to take that down because I didn't want those models out there available to everybody. I was able to now take that and turn it into what RNS Solar Consulting is. That's a company me and my boy Sam started. So RNS stands for Rodney and Sam Solar Consulting. And he does a similar model, right? Except his tells you exactly what size solar system you need and what size energy storage system you need. So based on what your electric bill is, right? Whoever you pay your power company or whoever your power company is that you pay it to, your monthly electric bill, you sending us or providing us one of those or giving us, over the past 12 months, the past year of your electric bill, providing us one of those, the model he has can run the numbers to then show you exactly what size of solar system and energy storage system works for your house. And then my model gives you the economic analysis that goes along with it and shows you ultimately why it's worth even investing in this or not investing in this, right? And it breaks it down with every single detail and parameter you may need from a solar perspective to have in that as a homeowner or a home buyer at that point. So then now we've turned that into a consulting service that we now provide people. And the beauty about it is we don't need to worry about any upfront costs that we may need for this and the third, because the models that we're using are PhDs paid for. The models that we're using were made based off the research we've been doing for the past 4 or 5 years.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful harmony when it comes up. And the more and more we can think about this stuff in advance and prepare ourselves with that kind of mentality going into grad school, bro,
that is the model. That is the model, folks. The model is almost like when they say, because we both did sports, right? We football, track, basketball, whatever. We did it all.
Yep. Shout out FHS. Shout out Springbrook High School once again. Shout out those Blue Devils.
Oh yeah, come
Shout
through.
out the state champ right here, Joey Daniels.
Come through.
Shout out to the state champ, you know what I mean?
At the end of the bench. Hey, it's cool, man. Look, I ain't even mad at it. I got my ring though. I got my ring.
Hey, know what I mean?
But look, like I just always remember, like because I have a sister who played basketball in college, and my dad used to always preach because he played basketball in college. Mm-hmm. Basketball is going to use you.
Yeah.
So make sure you use basketball to get all you need.
That's so powerful.
The PhD program is going to use you up. It's going to take 4 or 5 years, 3 to 5 years off of what you got going on. So use the PhD to build a business. So for my STEM entrepreneurs out there who still want to seek a master's degree, who still want to seek a PhD degree, but you're still thinking of being an entrepreneur, figure out something that's worth building. Enroll into a doctorate program so you can still get the end goal of having your PhD. But then like Rodney here has done is he's now created pretty much his intellectual property.
Exactly.
that he can now carry into a business. And the cool thing about his business is it's global because everybody needs a house and the
Exactly.
sun is everywhere. And
Everywhere.
so, and so you've now utilized your graduate school experience to build
Yeah.
a global company.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's things that people don't come into graduate school with that type of mindset. I know I did it until it was too late.
Yeah.
And so I think that's amazing. But the other thing that's also amazing as I transition is that you've always sprinkled in the necessity, the requirement of enriching and empowering. I don't want to say minority anymore because there's way too much of us to be calling us minorities. To the underrepresented communities, you've
Yeah.
always found ways to take resources that you have on your either if you're an undergrad or graduate school to
Yeah.
pour back into Black communities, to pour back
Yeah.
into brown communities, to teach STEM, to teach leadership, to
Yeah.
provide mentoring. Why is that so important? And then what are your future goals in continuing to be in that lane?
Yeah. Well, it's very important to me. One, on the personal end of it, I've never, in the way I was raised and just the kind of person that I am, and I thank God for the parents that He gave me and the kind of principles they instilled in me. I've never been comfortable getting so much from something or from a place and not doing my part to give back to that place or that something.
Yeah.
Right. So even when it comes to, the communities that I've lived in, from Pittsburgh when I was at Pitt, Arkansas, Tennessee now, back in the DMV, if I've lived in that place and I've had amazing experiences there, right, I don't want to leave there getting this degree that place granted me without giving back to the community that keeps that place running, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why the University of Pittsburgh is there, because Pittsburgh is there. You know what I'm saying? So that's it from the personal end, and why it's so important in general, man, especially for people that look like us, bro. It's just not enough teaching and I guess stressing and belief in Black and brown children that STEM is something they can handle,
Mm-hmm.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
belief is just not there in us by America at all, period. It doesn't matter what school systems you're coming from. It could be the best of the best. They still believe the Black students in those best of the best are less equipped to handle the rigors that the STEM degrees bring along, right? Mm. But then they paint the benefits you can come from having these STEM degrees, from being financially stable, right? Mm-hmm. So what does it sound like to a young Black brother, to a young Black sister, to a young brown brother, to a young brown sister, growing up in an area where the economics in their family may not have been the best? You see what I'm saying? And now the degrees you're telling me to chase after in school, right? The degrees that I see can get me to a point where I can provide that financial stability for myself, for my family, for my community. It's not even something you guys believe I can actually do, So what does that leave me at? Like, well, what kind of mentality is that going to put in my head? So that's why it's so important to me, man, to try to make sure that is instilled to that kind of a level. And if that means we got to go outside of the regular school systems and come in just ourselves as people in that community, then that's a challenge I've always been open to taking care of, because I just don't like any child having to have that mentality that this is great, but we don't believe it's something you can do. You don't have the resources to be able to learn this. The school district you're in doesn't have the teachers to be able to teach you this to the kind of degree that a school is going to take you. Standardized testing, that's a whole other convo in itself, is going to hit you in some type of ways. Like, University of Pittsburgh doesn't even recruit from its own area when it comes to the STEM programs in that engineering school specifically. You don't even recruit from from the Black areas that surround you itself. Why? Because you don't believe in those kind of kids. So that's kind of where that passion is for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And the thing about you is, man, like, you left Silver Spring and you did this in every stop along the journey.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to figure out here.
Which is a beautiful thing. You touch on these types of things on every stop along the journey. So I'm gonna hit you with a curveball here, all right?
What's up?
I need either the top 3 or the top 5 steps in actually getting something started. Because it's something when you talk to people and they're just like, yeah, this is what I am because it's about me, it's rooted in me. But for those who it's also about them and it's rooted in them, they just may not know how to go. So what's like a 5-step process, 3-step process for somebody who just wants to get started and doing things? It doesn't have to be STEM. It could be in entrepreneurship. It can be in business. It can be in healthcare. It can be whatever someone's thinking about, becoming a veterinarian. You know, like there's all kind of ways. But because you have focused in STEM, talk to me about STEM. What are the top 3, the top 5 things to begin pouring in communities that are systemically, economically disenfranchised?
Gotcha. Well, I'll give you the top 3 that I can think of instantly off the top of my head right now.
Great.
The third one I'll let you know in advance, though, is one I'm giving that I've been guilty of not following. And I'm trying to get myself better on that.
All right.
So it's a principle I believe in, but I've been guilty of not following it. So number 1 is whatever, if it's a new area that you just got to, right? People say all the time, get to know your surroundings, get to know your area, right? That can come in so many different ways, right? Being plugged in, the real definition of being plugged in can come at so many different levels. I mean, find a way to plug yourself in instead of exhausting yourself and meeting everybody that you possibly can. Find ultimately what you're trying to do and narrow down the people who can actually help you with that and reach out to those people, right? So that way you're not stuck taking advice and trying to seek help from so many different branches and so many different groups or whatever the case may be, that things just, end up getting so jumbled all over the place and you never really move towards anything, right? So make sure you narrow down what you want to do and seek the people who can specifically help you with that. Number 2 on that, I would definitely say make sure it's something that you not only have a passion for to where you're going to go above and beyond to seek whatever resources you need to make this thing happen, that you're seeking them from the right people, right? I can't stress heavily how ill-intentioned motives, right, can bring down something beautiful that somebody started with the right intent. And not even ill intent or malintent from that individual, but from the people that individual brought in. You see what I'm saying? So just being very, very wise on who it is you're using as resources, who it is you're pulling in to help you along with whatever it is you're trying to start. Make sure those people where their heart is coming from the right place. It's so easy sometimes to look at a $5,000 grant that some company is offering you, right? But there are reasons behind it and there are motives behind it. Yes, you need that money to start whatever it is you're trying to start. But I'm telling you, man, God is a powerful God. That money can be available from other people as well, who may not give you $5K. They may give you $10K, right? If that patience is there and you're making sure the motives of who you're seeking it from match the motives you have and why you're trying to start whatever it is you're trying to start. Okay. Number 3, which is the one I've been guilty of, man, I'm trying to get myself better of. Whatever it is you're starting, if it's a place where you're kind of like how I've moved around so much, you know what I'm saying? So many cities in the past 10 years. Make sure if you do plan on not staying in that location for that long, you're starting something that's sustainable. You're making sure the sustainability aspect of it is added while you're still there. Because I've tried to do it too much after I'm ready to dip out. And at that point, it's too late, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're leaving out and you're putting leadership into somebody else's hands, but you didn't coach that person up the right way, Rodney, that was me in Pittsburgh, right? That person wasn't involved in what you were doing from the grassroots long enough, or you didn't explain to them a lot of what they need to do to make sure they keep this going. You more just kind of assume there will be a change of leadership. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. One, you end up now having to be a part of it a lot more, even after you've left, or the thing just goes to waste altogether. So now that benefit you were providing for, let's say it's something you're doing with students in the area, right? Students in schools in the area. Now they're losing that piece that they had for that time that you were there. That piece that was so beneficial to them for that time that you were there, they're now losing that because you failed as the originator of that to set it up in a manner that was going to be sustainable past you being in that area. I've struggled with that a lot, and that's what I'm trying to get better at. And yeah, man, those are the main 3 I can think of at the top of the head right now.
That's rich.
Yeah.
That's rich information.
Yeah, man.
All right, last piece. And so I've been trying to put together these last couple episodes, man, just trying to make sure that I have something that I can provide those who have graduated. Because I mean, I was in academia from kindergarten to PhD.
Ain't that a crazy
Man, I
time?
was, what was I?
Oh,
So I was 28 when I finished. I was 5 when I started. So 23 years. And I mean, you about to hit the same number.
same though,
Why
bro.
are you
I'm
playing?
28 right now. I finished in
20,
September. 23
listen,
years.
23 years in academics. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what people spend in their career. You know what I'm saying? So spent all that time. So I understand the importance of commencement. I understand the importance of you need to take time to celebrate those milestones
Yeah.
because a lot of people around the world aren't able to get to these different academic to experience these different type of academic achievements. So because of that, because of COVID and what it's done, a lot of people have not gotten the to experience either like us Constitution Hall,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or been able to experience like Barnhill Arena or
Yeah.
things of that nature. Um, so in about 2 minutes, man, off the cuff, if you had to give a commencement speech at this very moment to all the kids and all the folks who work really hard studying for exams, and they've now reached the finish line,
Mm-hmm.
they weren't able to walk across the stage,
Oh yeah.
but we recognize that they are walking across the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Provide them with some kind of words of wisdom or some kind of commencement speech uh, to keep them uplifted.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, man. The thought of not being able to even enjoy that graduation moment and that walk across stage, forgetting it's not even just for us individuals. Sometimes it's for the families that and the villages that have supported us all through this. I would just say to them, honesty, one, congratulations. Don't let you not being able to walk across stage or this happening in a different route than you planned for this to go to diminish what you've accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're black, because it's not that's such a huge thing. You know what I'm saying? For you to get to that kind of a level, and instead of looking at what you're missing out at the closing of your year, right? This is a great time while you're locked in the house, right? To start really thinking, how can I now make the most of this degree that I've gotten? And not just the most of this degree in terms of me getting a great job and me doing this. How can this degree now start to affect more than just me and my most closest related links, right? Which is mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, outside of my family. How can this degree and everything I've learned from this time here now be expanded into a whole variety of different areas, right? What more can I take so that way I'm not just somebody who graduated with a degree. I graduated with a degree, and every single lesson that I learned during that, I figured out some way to apply that. We think of that a lot more as we're going through life when things are normal, right? Versus what we're dealing with right now in the pandemic. And things kind of outline themselves for you as you go through life, right? You start figuring out things as the years go, as you grow. You being in the house right now and being stuck in the house right now, right after graduation, not even getting a chance to walk across graduation, understand that, like I said, one, your accomplishment is not being diminished. And number two, since it is that big of an accomplishment, what can you do now in this time versus thinking about the down things or the downsides of what's happening to you? What can you now do to game plan for how you're going to be firing? I mean, guns blazing the second things open back up again. You know what I'm saying? What little, and it could be the smallest of things that you start out with, right? Well, what's going on back in my high school? If I'm going to be back in the area, what can I do back in my high school while working with this degree that I've gotten, right? Something going on in my neighborhood. What can I do in my neighborhood to try to help fix this problem while still working with the degree that I've gotten? So those are the exteriors that come along with you being a person with a degree now. There's a level of status that comes along with that. There's doors and opportunities that are opened up from that. How can I not turn those opportunities and doors into more opportunities and doors for those who are still trying to come behind me, right? For those who live in the areas that I come from, and for those who are connected to me more than just outside of my family. So I think it's a great time for them to be able to lock in on that. And that applies to you if you're graduating high school as a senior. That applies to you if you're graduating college as a senior, if you're graduating your master's, your PhD, your MBA, whatever the case may be. So just really, really, truly hone in and utilize this time right now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Continue that discipline and execute. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For a reason.
For sure. Well, future Dr. Rodney Cazito, man, I appreciate you being on with us today. Thank you for providing so much good information for everybody listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Rod.
Hey, Joe, I love you, man. I appreciate this. I appreciate you being who you are, man. It's truly a light that shines through you, man, and keep doing what you're doing. And God got big plans for what you got going on right now, brother. God got big plans for what you got going on right now. We're riding with you. So whatever you need and whichever way you need it, man, you already know what to do. So
love, love, love. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed episode number 9. Again, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of the work that Rodney has been doing. He's going to continue to do great work. Let's all wish him well as he goes to finish wrapping up his research and defend his dissertation here in the next 2 months, actually. And we can begin to call him Dr. Rodney Cazito, and he's going to take over the world. So super happy for him. Can't wait to see what he has to do to really change this world and build community. So that's it for me. I'll see you guys next week. Take it away, Tiff.
Thank you for listening to another episode on the Build Community Through Love podcast. Subscribe on all platforms to stay up to date with new episodes. Also, stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Build Community Through Love. And visit our website at buildcommunitythroughlove.com. So let's keep working, y'all. And if someone asks, tell them we're building.